It's 6:37 on a Tuesday morning, and you are counting 20 crumpled $100 bills on the hood of your car in an empty parking lot. A shopping cart someone abandoned last night ticks slightly in the wind, 3 spaces down, the only other sound besides your own counting. Behind you, a man in a stained work shirt is wrestling a rusted vending machine onto a borrowed trailer, and he won't quite meet your eyes because he thinks he just won this trade. $2,000. That's the whole number. That's every dollar you saved since you were 19, folded into your palm, about to belong to a stranger who's happy to see it go. Now, hold that number in your mind because this is a story about what happens the moment you refuse to let $2,000 stay $2,000, and what that one decision quietly costs the people who spend the next 30 decades watching you make it. 34 years from this parking lot, that same $2,000 becomes $9 million. Almost none of the people standing near you today will ever understand how it happened because you're never going to tell them. You are 24, net worth $2,000. All of it sitting inside one dented vending machine, bolted to the back wall of a tire shop that smells permanently like rubber and motor oil. You don't tell anyone at work. You service the machine yourself on Sunday mornings before church, restocking candy bars with a key that still smells like the man who sold it to you. The first week, it clears $38 in profit. You write the number in a spiral notebook, not a spreadsheet, because a spreadsheet would make it feel bigger and more official than it actually is, and you're not ready for that yet. You keep the notebook in the glove box, under the registration, like it's something worth hiding from a version of yourself that doesn't exist yet. Across town, your friend Marcus just financed a jet ski he'll use 4 times this summer and store the other 11 months in his mother's driveway. You are not smarter than Marcus. You have the same starting salary, the same student loans, the same 26-year-old car with the same rattle in the door panel. You are just willing to be bored for longer than he is. You are 26, net worth $19,400. 6 machines now, spread across 2 tire shops, a laundromat, and a barbershop that lets you keep one there for free in exchange for the coffee machine you threw in as a favor. You still drive the same car. The check engine light has been on for 11 months, and you've made a strange kind of peace with it, because every dollar it would cost to fix is a dollar that could buy a 7th machine instead. Marcus calls you cheap to his girlfriend at a backyard barbecue, laughing, not knowing you're standing close enough by the cooler to hear every word of it. You say nothing. You get another beer. Being poor on purpose is not the same thing as being poor. 3 months later, on a Wednesday you'll remember for the rest of your life for no good reason, someone breaks into the barbershop machine overnight. Not just breaks in, guts it. Pries the coin box clean off the frame, cracks the front glass, leaves the candy scattered across the floor like something died there. You stand in the doorway at 6 a.m. holding your phone, calculating the repair costs against the week's earnings in your head, and for 11 full seconds you seriously consider quitting the whole thing and calling it a lesson learned cheap. You don't. You are 29. Net worth $71,000. You just use a small loan, co-signed humiliatingly by your mother, at the same kitchen table where she once taught you long division on the back of a foam reel, to buy out a retiring vending operator's entire route. 19 machines, transferred overnight, keys handed across a diner table like something out of a heist movie neither of you would ever call out loud. You quit your day job the same week. You don't tell your parents that part until 4 months later, once the route's numbers hold steady on their own for a full quarter, and you're certain you're not about to hand your mother's signature back to her as a mistake. Marcus, meanwhile, has discovered a coin he's certain is about to 40x. He walks you through the white paper at a cookout while flipping burgers on a grill he financed at 24% interest. You nod along politely. You don't argue with him, not once. You've learned by now that people rarely want your opinion on their shortcut. They want your silence while they take it, and your silence has always been cheap to give. He loses $14,000 of it by October. He never mentions the coin again, and neither do you. You are 33, net worth $340,000. You sell the entire vending route, 31 machines by now, spread across 4 towns, to a regional operator for $290,000, in a deal that takes 4 months of paperwork and exactly 1 very quiet lunch to close. You put $180,000 of it down on a rundown laundromat with cracked linoleum and machines that predate 3 presidents. You are, for the first time in 11 years, in a business people can actually watch you own. A storefront, a sign with your name buried somewhere in the LLC paperwork, a lease. It changes nothing about how you dress, what you drive, or where you eat lunch on a Tuesday. Wealth you can see is wealth you're still quietly paying for. That October, Marcus calls at 11:40 on a weeknight. He needs $15,000 by Friday or he loses a townhouse, he says, voice cracking somewhere in the middle of the sentence. You sit with the phone against your ear for a long time before you answer. You say no, not cruelly, just clearly, and you offer to help him work out a payment plan instead. He hangs up before you finish the offer. You don't hear from him again for 7 months. You are 37, net worth $780,000. A second laundromat now, financed mostly by the first one's cash flow instead of another loan because you've stopped being in a hurry. An old tenant at the first location sues over a slip and fall near the folding tables, and for 6 weeks you learn more about liability insurance than you ever wanted to know in one lifetime. The case settles quietly for less than your deductible would have cost you in legal fees to fight it out. You sign the paperwork at your kitchen table, the same one your mother once co-signed the loan on, and you don't mention any of it to anyone outside your accountant's office. Marcus, that same year, gets a promotion, a boat, and a second mortgage, in that order within 8 months of each other. Getting bigger and getting richer are not the same thing, and most people never learn the difference in time to matter.
You are 41, net worth $1,150,000. 2 laundromats now, both profitable, both boring, both open on Christmas Day because boring businesses don't take holidays off, and neither does rent. You've started putting money, real, unglamorous, automatic money, into index funds every month, the same week your paycheck lands, before you can talk yourself into something more exciting instead. Read that twice. By 41, the version of you who bought one dented vending machine for $2,000 17 years earlier is worth over $1 million, and not a single person outside your own household knows it. You still drive a car with over 140,000 miles on it. It has never once occurred to you that this is strange. You are 45. Net worth $1,900,000. You buy a 12-unit apartment building on the edge of town, the kind of purchase that requires 3 lenders, 2 inspectors, and one very long Saturday spent walking through units that smell like other people's lives. You close on a Thursday and drive straight from the title office to open the second laundromat's register, because the day doesn't stop being a work day just because you signed something enormous. You decide, standing in Unit 4B with a flashlight checking for water damage, that you will personally answer the maintenance line yourself, at least for the first year, so you actually understand what you now own before you ever hand it to someone else. The mortgage payment is larger than your first 3 years of vending income combined. You don't mention that number to anyone, not even your wife, not because it's a secret exactly, but because it would sound like bragging out loud in a kitchen that still has the same linoleum from when you bought the house. Marcus posts a photo from a resort that same week. You like it. You mean it. A little. You are 47, net worth $2,600,000. Then, for 6 brutal weeks in the spring, closer to $2,100,000, when the market drops hard and fast and every account you own turns red at the exact same time. Phone calls, a lot of them. Your accountant, your wife, twice in one day. Marcus, oddly, checking if you're okay, which is when you realize he never actually knew the number. He only ever knew you'd gone quiet. And quiet, to him, has always meant something's wrong. You don't sell. You don't check the accounts for 9 straight days, on purpose, because you already know exactly what panic does to people holding good assets at the wrong moment in the story. The market comes back, the way it almost always does for people who don't flinch in the middle of it. Panic is not a strategy. It's just math wearing a disguise. You are 51, net worth $3,900,000. You buy a second small apartment building, 4 units this time, almost entirely in cash, and the closing takes 11 minutes because there's nothing left to negotiate. You tell the seller, an older man retiring to Florida, that you started with a vending machine. He laughs like it's a joke. It isn't. Marcus, that spring, asks to meet for coffee instead of calling with a number attached. He's been sober 2 years by then, working steady, driving something practical. He doesn't ask for anything. You let him talk the whole hour, and you don't bring up the townhouse once. Not every ending needs to be settled out loud to actually be settled.
You are 53, net worth $5,300,000. Both apartment buildings are full now, cash flowing more than either laundromat ever did, and you still personally answer the maintenance line at 10 at night because a stranger managing your money is fine, a stranger managing your tenants is not.
Marcus, at a reunion that year, asked what you actually do for work, half joking, half not, in front of 6 people who all lean in slightly for the answer. You tell him a little bit of everything, which is technically true and reveals absolutely nothing, which is exactly the point of saying it that way. The people who ask what you're worth out loud are rarely the people you'd actually tell. You are 58, net worth $9 million. No party, no announcement, just a Tuesday morning email from your accountant. One number sitting quietly in the subject line, read once, standing in your kitchen in the same slippers you've owned for 6 years, coffee going cold on the counter beside you while you read it a second time to be sure you counted the zeros correctly. You text your wife a screenshot. She sends back a single heart, then asks if you're still picking up milk on the way home. You are, you do.
You go back to that parking lot sometimes. It's a car wash now. The tire shop closed years ago, but you still park in almost the same spot, near the wall where the first machine used to hum through the night. At 24, $2,000 felt like a risk you could barely afford to take, the kind of number that keeps you up the night before you hand it over. At 58, it's the only line on a 34-year ledger you can point to and say, with total certainty, that's where it actually started, on an ordinary Tuesday, in a parking lot nobody else remembers or ever will. Marcus still tells the vending machine story at parties. Your parties, technically, since you're the one who ends up hosting most of them now. He tells it like a punchline about the guy who was too cheap to enjoy his 20s. And everyone laughs, and you laugh too, because it costs you nothing to let him keep the joke. He's a good guest these days. Steady job, second wife, a small boat he actually paid off. Whatever he lost chasing shortcuts in his 30s, he seems to have made peace with somewhere along the way, and you've never once brought it up to remind him. He still doesn't know the real number. You've never once been tempted to correct him. So here's the only question none of this has answered for you yet. If you had $2,000 sitting in your account right now, and 34 boring, unglamorous years standing between you and everything it could quietly become, would you actually spend the next decade being willing to look poor?